Hey everybody, it's Angela here from itsfreeitsyousee.com, and you have come to the right place if you are feeling stuck and lost and like you're not living up to your fullest potential. And what I do is I help you get unstuck and passionate about your lives again. And what does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, what I do is I help women do the work on the inside so that it reflects on the outside so that you are living a more balanced life. And I do this by providing you tools and resources in self-discovery, healing, and stepping into your personal power just so you can really do the work on your own. However, investing in a coach does make the process or the journey go so much faster, and you'll have more often, you'll have more breakthroughs and more aha moments because it is very guided and very particular when you work with a coach. However, I feel like it's very important for you to be able to have these tools and resources just to do the work on your own so that you do things that you are very comfortable with and so that you are making the progress that you really want to make. Sometimes we feel very uncomfortable asking for help, especially if we are in the positions that we are in, especially if we hold powerhouse or esteemed positions where we're being looked up to. It feels kind of scary to reach out to someone and admit that we need help, let alone tell ourselves that we actually need this help. So I get it, and I totally understand that. So I am here to provide you the tools and resources so that you can do this stuff all for free. However, that doesn't mean that I am not available for coaching if you are interested. I do have an Ultimate Freedom program available, and I still have spaces left to work with me one-on-one. So if you're interested in that, I will leave a link so that you can get in contact with me. It is a 14-week program where we go through all of those phases, self-discovery, healing, and stepping into your personal power, just so you can live the life that you truly, truly want to live. Now, enough about that. Let's actually get started. Let's talk about why you're really here. You're here because you might actually be struggling with letting go of past conditioning, and you don't even know that you are hindered by past conditioning. So actually, what I'm going to do for you here is let you know 3 ways how your past conditioning is actually showing up, and you may not even be aware of that, so stay tuned. The number one way I don't want to say the number one way, right? Because these are not just the only ways that past conditioning shows up. First, you know what? Before I even get into that, let's actually talk about what past conditioning is and what it actually means before I give you these ways, because you may not even know, and it's okay that you don't know. Some people don't know. Past conditioning or unserving past conditioning just means that these were things that you were taught when you were a childhood or when you were in childhood. Now, it may be very subtle. You may not even realize that you've picked up on these things, but things tend to show up, and that's why we get triggered. That's why we may not feel like we're worthy or we're good enough or we can't do certain things. It actually stems back from our childhood. Now, a lot of the times, the reason why we think that we feel insecure or we don't feel confident in a relationship, etc., is because of a previous relationship. Well, that's actually not necessarily true. It actually starts from your childhood, and what happens is things show up for you because it is meant for you to heal, and if you continue to ignore it, then it, of course, continues to show up in your life until it actually makes you aware, or it makes you stop, or it makes you so uncomfortable that you change your life around. That's really what happens. But it does totally start from your childhood. There are things that you probably heard as a child. Oh, you're a bad girl for doing that. Oh, be nice and be mommy's little helper. Or, do these things that create these past conditionings. Like money doesn't grow on trees. We don't have enough money. You can't do that. Or maybe when your parents freaked out because of something, but you didn't realize it was because of stress, and you picked it up as your own, making you the shameful and worst child. And so then what happens is you act out as of whatever it is that you believe in, and it totally creates this cycle and totally creates your present and your future, which is unfortunate because sometimes we don't even realize these things are happening before our eyes because for a lot of us, that was normal. Well, the truth is that just really means that our parents are just a product of their environment. And so really what happens is that the cycle continues until someone says, that's it, I've had enough, I'm fucking done with this. And then you start to heal your life and you change your things and you pass on different past conditioning. Now, unfortunately, we are always going to pass on some type of conditioning because we live in a society where you have to conform. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not saying that conditioning is bad or that conforming is bad. It is just the reality of it. As much as I would like to be the perfect mom and not condition my child at all, that's just not the truth. I mean, she's been on a sleep schedule since she was 12 weeks old. The conditioning started then. So it's just about how you want to, balance this out. It is just something that it's inevitable. It's something that we have to deal with. And that's okay because, if we weren't here to know what love is, then we wouldn't ever go through the opposite of that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you these 3 ways that past conditioning is showing up in your life and you may not even know it. And it is affecting your personal life and it is affecting your professional life. Whether or not you own a business or you work for somebody else is completely irrelevant, but it does hinder you. So I want you to listen up right now. One of the ways that past conditioning is showing up in your life is when you don't show up. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that there's a question that you know the answer to and you stay quiet. Let's say that there's a meeting and you have this bright idea, but you don't say anything because you're afraid to speak up. Maybe you own an online business and you're afraid to go live, which means that you're actually afraid to show up. Maybe you work in a male-dominated area and you're afraid to show up as your fierce and unstoppable woman self because it's completely dominated by women. The fear of showing up or the fear of being seen is actually something that comes from our childhood. And it actually comes from our childhood by connected to self-worth and connected to shame. And how does that happen if you've never really had a traumatic childhood? You're a bad girl. Not what you're doing is bad, but you are bad because you are doing that thing. So automatically you pick up that shame and now you're afraid to be seen in your adult life because you believe that you were bad by doing the things that you really wanted to do when you were a child. Now, whether or not those things were negative or positive, that's not what we're talking about. But we are actually talking about the shame that you were put through when you were a child because you were doing something that your parents didn't necessarily like. And then that shows up in your adult life by not showing up, by not putting yourself out there, by not speaking up when you have this genius idea and you know that it is going to make more money than absolutely believably possible, and you still don't say anything. You just stay quiet because there's that fear of being seen. And that totally impacts not only your personal life, but it totally impacts your professional and business life. Because in order for you to be able to make more money, is you have to be willing to show that you can add value. If you're in this situation and you know that you can add value, but you're afraid to show up, then you can't add value, right? You can't speak up. You can't say these things that you need to say. And that totally hinders your ability to make more money, because the more people add value, the more money that they make. So show up and get seen. That will help you. But this is one of the ways that your conditioning is actually showing up and you may not even know it. The second way that past conditioning may show up and you don't even know it is when you're working with people. It doesn't matter if they're coworkers. It doesn't matter if they're clients. It doesn't matter if they're people on the phone, customer service, whatever it is. You will see it with the way that you work with people. And I want to say this for an example. Say that you work with someone that is so annoying. It's so frustrating. Every time you hear them in the office, you want to roll your eyes and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out of here because this person drives me nuts. Well, first of all, I get that. I totally understand that. However, your past condition is actually showing up as your past conditioning because there is something about them that irritates you that you don't like about yourself. Now, I know that you're probably freaking out like, is this a real thing? The truth is that anything and everything is really a reflection of ourselves, no matter what. So when we're triggered or when we have emotions and we think that someone made us do it, that's not true. It actually has nothing to do with them. It always has something to do with you. So in these moments, when people are frustrating you, when people are annoying you, it is actually something about you that is asking you to look at yourself in the mirror. Now, this might seem a little bit crazy because maybe someone really just isn't good at their job. That's fine. But also, we are meant to come from a loving and accepting place no matter what is going on with that other person. And it actually helps us professionally if we can be accepting of other people, no matter what type of work we are in. The third way that past conditioning may be showing up for you and you don't even realize it is the way that you see yourself. Now, this might be really hard because a lot of us actually like to work to avoid and escape ourselves. A lot of us like to don't like to not take care of ourselves because we're actually afraid of the reflection in the mirror. And this is because of things that we have done in our past. Mistakes, failures, embarrassing moments. Why the fuck did I do that right now? Just things like that that we see as just these minor things that actually build up and then put us in these positions where we don't like to look at ourselves. And when we don't like to look at ourselves, we do whatever it takes to avoid and escape dealing with ourselves, really. And so how does this impact our personal work, or our personal and our work life? Well, if you don't want to deal with yourself, you may actually be working and working and working, and you may actually be burning yourself out to avoid yourself rather than doing work that you're aligned with or that you feel good with because you like spending time with yourself. So that's a big deal. In your personal life, if you don't like to deal with yourself, then that's going to reflect not only in your work, because we are our work, but it's also going to show up in your relationships, and people are going to treat you the way that you see yourself. So these are 3 ways that past conditioning could be showing up in your life and you may not even know it. The first one is when you don't put yourself out there. The second one is how you deal with people that you work with. And it can be any type of people that you work with, clients, customer service, anybody and anything. And the third way that past conditioning may be showing up in your life and you don't even know it is the way that you see yourself. Now, there's a way that you can let go of this past conditioning that has the least amount of effort and the least amount of time being used into it. And it is hypnosis. And hypnosis is actually reprograms your unconscious mind so that you can rewire it to be the way that you want it to be, that you can let go of this past conditioning, this unserving past conditioning. You can use hypnosis to turn all of this around. Now, you can use hypnosis specifically for maybe self-forgiveness. You can use it specifically for discipline, for showing up, for putting yourself out there. You can do all of these things. However, hypnosis will help you let go of that past conditioning without all the time and the effort that you may think that it needs. Now, how does it work? Well, I actually have 2 options for you. The first option is a custom hypnosis where you and I actually go about 45 minutes on the phone and you tell me what it is that you want your best self to look like. We talk about your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health. We also talk about your business or work and money, and we also talk about relationships, and I build you this all-encompassing hypnosis, and I send it to you so that you can listen to it at your convenience and for a lifetime. Or I have some pre-recorded options that will be available to you so that you can pick and choose whatever it is that you want to specifically work with, and they will be available to you. Maybe you're thinking you're really uncomfortable with what it is that I'm telling you about these hypnosis, and maybe might be some fears, which is totally okay. There's nothing wrong with having those fears. Maybe you feel like no one should have that kind of power over your mind. Maybe you feel like you can't be in a meditative state like that. Maybe you feel like it won't even work. Well, that's completely okay because I am actually doing an event. It is a 3-day event where I'm doing 3 live hypnoses where you can actually join and get a sample of how the hypnoses are going to be, and you can decide if this is something that you feel like is going to work that you can add to your routines and your life. So I will drop the link below so that you can get on that and join in all of that hypnosis, that 3-day live hypnosis, so that you can decide if hypnosis is really right for you and letting go of your past conditioning. I will drop the link below. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do this without you, so I'm so grateful that you're here. Again, I'm Angela, and I'm the founder of asfreeasyouSee.com. I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you later.